Hopefully you're here because you just watched my other video about why you want to take your scouts to the National Museum of the Marine Corps. If not, I'm leaving a link down in the description so you can check out that video after this one. That video is about the why you want to go there. This video is the how. As in, how do I get admission? How am I going to feed my kids while I'm there? And how am I going to do, whatever it is that you want to do while you're there? So, with that, let's get started. Alright, timestamps are down in the description as well. That way, if you come back to this video and you just want to reference a certain point, that should be able to help you out. Also, you'll find some of my Amazon affiliate links down below. If you click one of those and you end up buying anything that I recommend or anything from Amazon within 24 hours, you are helping support this channel and I greatly appreciate it. Question number one you're probably thinking is, how do I gain access or admission to the museum? It's probably some exclusive club that requires significant background checks to gain access, right? Well, actually, no. It's actually completely free and open to the public. What I would recommend is that you head on over to their website and give it a gander. Here you can see the dates and the time of admissions. I'm not saying the times and dates that are on the screen right now because I want to make sure that I future-proof this video in case they need to make an adjustment or you're trying to go around a holiday or a special event. Just make sure that you are checking the website for the days that you do want to go so that way there aren't any surprises and you can actually gain access. If you do plan to bring a larger group or to park a large van according to the website, there is a group planning button that's underneath the Plan Your Visit tab of the main website. Make sure that you go out there and you check that out so that way if you do show up with your pack, your troop, your crew, something along those lines, that you're not turned away because you've brought too many people or your experience isn't as good as you hoped because there wasn't some pre-planning. Just want to put that out there to make sure you guys have the best information possible. Also, before we go any further, because I know scouts like their pocket knives, there is security at the museum, so make sure that you leave all your sharp objects, your weapons, or anything that can be viewed as a weapon in your car or at home. That way you don't get caught up once you try to go through security with your old trusty Leatherman. Question number two is likely, how do I explore the museum? And the answer is that's really up to you. While the exhibits do go in a clockwise fashion with each exhibit rolling into the other, you don't have to necessarily go in that order. It just kind of helps with seeing things go chronologically. In the very beginning, you do start out with the making of the Marine, so you can kind of get a little bit of that Marine Corps boot camp experience. Things like standing on the yellow footprints, getting off of the bus, and even stepping into a tube where you can be motivated by some of the drill instructors. Going around the corner right before you get into the 1775 and the American Revolution era, you do see a bunch of Marines doing rappelling and a lot of cool stuff that you can sit there and talk with your scouts about. From there, you go on a trip through history with some of the most realistic mannequins that I have ever seen. It's like if Disney and Chesty Puller did a collaboration and they made this museum, because some of the exhibits are just so realistic that it can really catch you off guard. I also did hear that some form of Disney's executives or people who work with Disney did have a contributing factor in the design of the museum, so that's another cool thing that you can bring up to your scouts as well. Now, each exhibit flows into the other, but it does this via a main hallway that wraps around the entire museum. That's important because that hallway does have access to the main entrance and a couple of bathrooms along the way. I just want to put that out there because if you have younger kids and they have to use the restroom, that's probably one thing that you're going to want to consider. There's also some water fountains so you can top off on your water throughout the entire visit. Also, make sure that you check out the second floor. When I was filming this video, it was the first time that I ever went on to the second floor because I assumed that it was like offices and conference rooms, but it actually is more of the museum itself. While it doesn't give you access to any more exhibits, once you go up there, there is some art that's along the wall and some cool like figurines and things like that. But also you get to see down into the different exhibits in the different eras. One that I thought was really cool and added to the attention to detail that I just rave about in this museum was when you go over to the Iraq War, you look down and you see snipers on the rooftop, and that's something that you can't see when you're just walking along in the exhibit itself. And I thought that that added another layer of realism, and I thought that that was really cool. Highly recommend that you go to the second floor and you look down on the exhibits just to get a different perspective on them. Now, our next question talks about how are you going to keep those younger scouts, or maybe the siblings that are kind of along for the ride, entertained as everybody's trying to enjoy the museum? And the answer is that there's a couple of different areas where the littler kids can actually get hands-on with some of the exhibits. In the 1775 era, there are some places where the kids can sit there and they can practice tying knots like they would if they were on a ship during the American Revolutionary War. There's also some of these little like things that you can lift up, and underneath are questions of how would you write home or how would you text home back in 1775, and it's a quill and a well of ink, so you know it's kind of playing on that there was no texting, but they had to write letters and just kind of get them mailed. There's also a place called the Children's Gallery, and that is on the first floor right behind the stairs. And in this little area, it is very much a playground for the kids to just go in there, sit behind a helicopter, maybe on a amphibious vehicle that's doing a landing, and there's even some costumes in there that they can put on, and you guys can take some cool photos with your kids. Highly recommend that you take your kids out there and give it a try. But if the kids do get a little too rambunctious, just know that there is a playground that is to the right of the museum itself when you're facing it in the parking lot. Take your kids out there, have them burn off some energy, or if you just want to have the adult leaders take your kids inside and you can hang out there with your toddler, it's a great place to have your kid just kind of hang out and while they go through the museum and enjoy it. All right, our next question deals with you've been there all day, you've maybe walked half the exhibits and you still got a little to go, or maybe you've walked all the exhibits and you're just hungry. Is there a place to eat within the museum? And the answer is yes. So there's actually two different places that you can eat that are on the second floor of the museum itself. I recommend that you take your scouts, if you do have a group there, over into the cafeteria. Here they have the basic things that all kids love, the hot dogs, the hamburgers, and a couple of different grab-and-go items and drinks as well. They also have a bunch of tables and places for you to be able to sit with your kids and enjoy it. The second place to eat on the second floor is going to be Tun's Tavern, which, if you know Marine Corps history, that's where the Marine Corps was formed back in 1775. Now, this is more of a pub restaurant sort of scene, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend bringing your Cub Scouts into there, but if you're there by yourself or maybe with a crew or some older scouts, this might be a better option because they do have a more expansive menu. I didn't get a chance to look at the entirety of the menu because I wasn't eating there, but it is really well done. It fits with the theme of what that tavern would have been like back in 1775, and even the little back room has a fireplace for you guys to sit by. Really cool. Really recommend that you guys check that out if you have some older scouts or if you're there by yourself. Now, it wouldn't be a museum without a stellar gift shop. And yes, the National Museum of the Marine Corps does have an awesome gift shop that you and your scouts can check out. One of the coolest things that's in there that your kids are probably going to enjoy is the flag raising over Iwo Jima, completely made out of Legos. Also, if they want to get their own dog tags, they can go in there and get that. And there's plenty of items that you can deck out your scouts in different sort of Marine Corps swag. Also, this is where you can get the patch that I talked about in my previous video. So after you guys visit, just go over there, purchase one, and you're good to go. All right, so you've done everything inside of the museum. Is there anything to do on the outside of the museum? And as I said in the other video, yes, there is. There is the Semper Fidelis Memorial Park, which is the grounds itself surrounding the museum. If you go out there, there are a bunch of different memorials and monuments out there, and it really is a cool trail to kind of get to walk around with your kids. Just know if you do have some younger Cub Scouts, they're probably not going to be too happy because it is kind of downhill and then uphill, and they've already been walking inside of a museum. They're probably going to be a little bit tired. Another thing that you may want to check out while you're there, as I said, is going to be the Memorial Chapel that overlooks the museum itself. It is a quiet and reserved area, so just make sure your scouts are acting appropriately and give that a look. Which brings us to our final question and recommendation, which is, what can I do before I arrive to kind of have a better experience? As I said in the other video, there are some ways of knocking out Cub Scout adventures and some merit badges with Scouts BSA. I recommend that you review the different levels and the different activities that your Scouts can be earning while they are in the museum. Also, I maybe recommend that the Scouts go out and they look at a specific time in history that they kind of want to visit while they are at the museum. For example, if a Scout is interested in the Cold War for some reason because of all the spy v spy things that are going on, you can ask about how has the Marine Corps played a role in the Cold War era, and then they can go through and kind of answer that question. It's a little bit of an extracurricular, but it is something that kind of gets your Scouts excited and maybe learning a little bit more about history. But hey, if you didn't get a chance to watch my other video, I'll go ahead and tag it right here, and make sure that you're watching out for the rest of our Memorial May series as we release those videos throughout the entirety of the month. But with that, I've been Matt with the Roaming Scouter, and I'll see you out there.